Alright, welcome back everybody. This is the third video. In this video we're going to create our header file. We're going to go through some of the basic tags in the header. We're going to create the footer and then we're going to link those up. So first of all, let's create a new file and we're going to save this as header.php. It needs to be called header.php because if you remember from the previous video, we call the function getHeader. Okay, so let's see, it's examp htdocs, eyes for pies, content, themes, eyes for pies. Okay, so remember that it needs to be called header.php. Okay, and then this needs to be saved in our root directory because it calls directly from the root. Okay. So, as I mentioned in the video before, so you have a website kind of like, oh, here's a great example. We're looking at the Codex WordPress site. This up here, this whole black bar up here is a header. They don't want to write that piece of code for every single page that they make. So, what we can do is we can make one file called header and then reference it. So, that's what we're doing here. We're referencing the header function. So, what all goes in the header file? Everything up to, let's see here, body. We're going to copy all of that. Actually, cut it all out. We're going to save it. Header, we're going to paste everything in there, and we're going to save that. That's our header. And you'll notice that I left the body tag open here. And you'll want to have the body tag open because everything in your website goes inside the body element. So if I don't have the body in here, then it's not going to work. So my index page is now going to read everything after that body tag as though it were there. Okay. So let me kind of show you, let's see, WordPress architecture. How the modularization is going to kind of work here. So maybe this will show us what we've got here. So the whole code, everything that we're going to do is going to modularize our code. That's kind of a bad example. And so we have our header, we have our footer. Actually, I have just the example in my manual. Okay, so here we go all the way. I think this is important for you guys to see because that way you can kind of understand how the modularization works within WordPress if you're not familiar with how that works. And I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page before we move forward. Let's see here, to the very end. Here it is. This is the anatomy of a WordPress template. So you'll see that we separate parts of our template here. So we have the header file, which we're creating, and we have the footer that we'll create in a little bit. We'll go over building a sidebar because these three sections here always show up. The only difference for your website is going to be this section, which is your body content. So we're just going to call these three sections for every new file that we have. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. This is the header file. So there's a couple of things in the header file that we need to do. So what we need to do is at the very end of our header tag, we need to break into PHP. And we need to call the WP head function. Okay? And then, let's take a look here. In our HTML, what we're going to do, we're going to break into PHP again. Okay, and then in here, we're going to call the language attributes function. And that's just so it knows that whatever language that you're in, will read this in that language. Okay, so, actually looking at this, I see that I've made a mistake here. This get header, go ahead and cut this out. That needs to stay, let's actually move that file up here. That needs to stay up here, okay? Also, we still need to have the body tag in there. Okay, and then in our head, let's remove that. Okay, there we go. But we do need to break in PHP up here, and we need to tell it what's going on here with the code. Okay. Okay, so this is the head for our theme. Okay, cool. And then displays all the head section and everything till the main div. Yeah, we'll call it main ID. Okay. So, like we did before, we need to package WordPress. Let's see, asterisk. We're going to sub package eyes for pies, and then we are going to since eyes for pies 1.0. Okay, sorry about that. So just to clear up, the body tag does need to be in here, and the get header in your index file. That's how you call it. And then you need those pieces of information to know that this is the main template and this is the head of our theme. Okay, sorry about that confusion. And then make sure that you still have your WP head function and above the head tag, the final closing head tag. Okay, so let's go ahead and save all of our files. Okay, so now that we have the header file and we have it calling into our index file, what we want to do is set up our footer. So that is pretty simple. The only thing that we do is down here we're gonna break into PHP. We're going to get footer and close that function off. This is going to get the footer. So in order for this to work, we need to create a new file. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so the footer, same thing as the header, but for now the only thing we're going to do is open up the footer and close the footer. Okay, and you have to call it footer.php, otherwise that function won't work because it's looking for footer. Okay, and we need to save that in our root directory. So get to the root directory. So you should have your header, index, style, and footer all inside there. So now what we have is, let's actually bring that up. So we have the body tag, and above that we're calling our header. We're going to put our website content in here, then the get footer tag at the very bottom. Okay, so let's go back to our header, and what we're going to do is we're going to put in some other PHP commands. So this is the title of my site. However, what we're going to do is we're going to give this, there's a PHP call specifically for this the tag that will call it for me, and it's called the title. In here, what you're going to do is you're going to put the name of your site. So eyes for pies. So, and then also I like to put a little pipe bar and a space, because the way that the title works here, you want it to be dynamic. So whenever you're on like the About Us page or something, you'll have up here, it'll tell you what page you're on. Say I'm on the dashboard, but if I click on media, it says media library. So you want that structure. WordPress will automatically put the file name here, but if you want, you can leave it blank if you want, and so it just reads like what page you're on. But I like to say, you know, the name of the website, and then a pipe bar, and then the name of the page that I'm on. that's personal preference, so it just kind of depends on what you want to do there. So now that we have that set up, let's go ahead and link up our libraries. Okay, so I went and I copied some code just because I wanted to make sure that I had this all spelled out correctly. So in order to call your style sheet, where you're going to do it as you normally would, you'd open up the link tag and then you'd give it the style sheet. And then the text CSS, but then the reference here, there's a PHP tag that you can break into, and that's blog info. That's another WordPress command. And in here it says template directory, so it kind of knows that this is the root directory. So after you have that, you're going to have the folder after there. So I have my CSS folder, if you recall. So it's going to go to the root directory, which is what this command does, the file name, and then I can call whatever style sheet I have in here. I don't have one yet, so we're going to keep that open. Let's organize this a little bit. I love to leave comments here for future developers so that they can find what they're looking for. So let's go ahead and just kind of set a lot of this up. So we have JavaScript libraries. JavaScript libraries, I think we'll just leave it at that for now. We also have meta information that we need to include. Metadata. Okay, so just kind of setting up the structure for our site here. So I have a WebKit that I use. Let's see if I can find it here. Let's see, I think it's closer to this one. No, that's not it. Here we go. I have a WebKit. I highly recommend this. I put everything that I use, different libraries, and I highly recommend doing this. So there's a couple of things that we're going to want to use. Go ahead and look up Normalize Css. This is really important. It is a library that just sets everything to a blank canvas for your website. So if you don't know this already, every browser interprets code differently. So Chrome will look different than Firefox and Internet Explorer. They all look so much different. So what you're going to do is you're going to copy that, you're going to paste it in there, we're going to call it Normalized.css. Okay, this is such a great tool to have because that just makes it just saves you a lot of time trying to make sure that everything looks consistent across all web browsers. If you use this, you won't have to do anything. You can that will just reset everything for you. You don't even have to open it, we'll close it. And that's in Normalize Normalized.css. Okay, so as I said, we're going to be using Bootstrap. Let's see, I think it's getbootstrap.com. So go ahead, go to Get Bootstrap if you want to use it. This will increase your build time by like 60-70%. What you can do is you can copy the code here and link directly to it, but I prefer to just download it. Just download the source because this is nice and you'll link right up to everything, but they're going to update this. They update it often, and if you have something that you do different outside of Bootstrap and they update it and it could break some of your other code, that could be bad news. I like to download it and then install it. Since I have a WebKit here, all I do is I just copy all of this information. My CSS fonts folders, you'll get all of that if you go to the Bootstrap and export it. It looks exactly the same. And I'm just going to add that over to my directory. So after we do that, we're just going to set up our libraries, link up everything here. Another thing that you'll want to link up, you'll want jQuery 1.91. This is the latest one. This has a lot of jQuery, so when we use Bootstrap, it's going to require that we use this jQuery to use some of their functionality. So download that, and then let's